Well, I set a set of exhaust manifolds in here. They're kind of working. I believe these are the right ones. Looks like I'm about 1/4 of an inch from the hole there, and about the same. But this is not going to work either, because it's not only going down through the frame, it's interfering with the cross arm here, this top arm. It's kind of stuck, that bolt stopping it. So that ain't gonna work. And I have a set of zoomies here. They will go on sticking up, but I'm not going to cut up this hood and everything just to get exhaust in here. So I need to get some kind of header that'll hug the block and go down here. Just a little behind the center manifolds. I might be able to cut these up and modify them. I hate to chop them up. I would rather try to get a set of block headers, block hugger headers that fit. So I'll put the others back on and see what I need to cut. Well, we got it, I did it a little, got past the A-arm, but my bolts are lining up good. It's fairly flush, but I'm hitting in two places. One is the side of that block right there. Kind of marked that. It looks like it. And the other one, it's hitting right on top of this part of the frame. I marked both of them. We'll see what it looks like. Well, this little thing right here, not a big deal. I can grind that off. Looks like it was there's no bolt or anything in it. That'll clear here, but I'm hitting right here on this. As you can see here, this is all one big place. It maybe if I grind this off first, the header will actually move in a little. This is kind of one piece. It might be really hard to try to do anything here. And it's the edge of this on the inside and the edge of that. Now, I might be able to, I'm looking at that motor mount and it looks like it's just a bolt inside a 1-inch square tube. So there's a good chance that this motor is just sitting down, you know, 3/4 of an inch too low. And if I raise it up, it'll fix this cross member business. But raising it up won't change anything here on the block. Now these headers are supposed to be made for that block. It may be that it'll clear the block if I get that mount raised up. Anyway, I'm going to pull that bolt out of the motor mount and see what's happening. And I started playing with this, and this is turning 1/4 of a turn there. That's way too much inside the steering box. The steering box might be worn out. Not sure whether it's worn out or I can tighten it or what, but that'll be something I'll have to work on later. Yeah, that's just sitting on the bottom of that steering mount. I don't even know if it's tight. It might not be. Yeah, it's just loose. Well, it's pretty obvious I can raise that up. I'll get me a pry bar and move it up wherever I want it. It's not a real good mount there, the way they got it. Not too impressed with that at all, but I may be able to, well, I can use the bracket. I just have to mount something else. But anyway, I'll get a pry bar and raise this motor up and see if I can get those headers on. Yeah, this motor's moving like 1.25 inches. Top of that 1-inch piece to the bottom, plus whatever slack is in that bolt. So I'll give me some kind of something there to brace it up, and where it'll hold it and it don't squish my fingers. And I'll try these headers again. I was able to get a bolt in there, not very sturdy, but it's holding it up pretty good. At least I can see if the headers are going to fit. Just have to make sure I keep my fingers out of there in case it falls. I made it a little better. I got this lined up, kind of clearing that frame a bit, but it's definitely hitting that boss there, same place as it was. I'll probably put a dent in this header here when I didn't need to. It's alright. So it basically looks like I gotta grind that thing off. I think that header might be able to clear it on the bottom. I'm gonna try to put it from the bottom up and see what happens. No, it ain't gonna work. It hits this frame right here. So I think I can grind that off and I can get the header on. If I'm having too much interference with this, I can move the motor back like an inch. It shouldn't be that much trouble to. I should remake that bracket anyway. That half-inch piece of tube is no good. It is fairly good because I can tilt it back and forth, but what I was thinking, of course, is just to get a big thick washer that'll fit the nut, put it on there, and then weld that onto that mount. But the motor looks like it's a couple degrees, so I think that's probably pretty good. I haven't really inspected the transmission mount, but these headers, if they would have welded them a little different. This thing here is sticking towards the inside of the motor. I haven't looked at the other header. They might be the same left to right. Let me check the other one. Well, I ground that off pretty good. That's cast iron, so it goes pretty easy. The headers were the same left to right, but I already dented the one to clear this arm, so I'm going to keep the one I had decided to be left. It has a little more clearance. I'll try to put it in. Well, that cleared the block okay, but when this is straight, that one's up quite a bit, and the edge of this A-arm is hitting right there in the header. So I need to dent this header a little bit more up here and probably grind off this corner of this A-arm. I think what I want to do is try to grind it first before I go pounding on that header, because I've got kind of plenty of meat there I don't really need. So I can take it off about right there. That shouldn't weaken it very much. Grind that off and see if I can get it in. But you can see in the block back there, it's clearing, and it's clearing the oil pan. It's going to be a tight fit, and I think the header's probably going to interfere down here in the bottom, the collector pipe. We'll see. I may have to cut and bend that whole thing to get it at a different angle, but getting it in first is my main concern. If I had to, I could raise this up an inch, and that would clear everything. But I would like to not have to redo those motor mounts, other than just raise them up in where they got them. I haven't even looked at the back. I'll look at that later, but I think grinding on the edge of this is not going to hurt anything, and it'll give me enough room to get it in. Well, I put a little collector on the bottom here, and you can see I'm like an inch away from where it needs to go. I can feel up under here, and it's pretty much right against that steering box frame. And it's right about the middle of it. I've got it marked there. These headers are really not very good. The bolts barely go into the part here. It looks like I'm going to have to dent them and massage them quite a bit just to get the bolts on. But I can get that this down pipe here. I can get that I can cut it off and angle it towards the back. But the problem is that the flange is hitting. You can see there the flange is holding it up. And if I judge from the back, it's down a half and up here an inch. So if I jack the motor up, I jack this motor up maybe 1 inch, that should be able to clear everything. It'll definitely clear here where the swing arm or the A-arm hits it. I'm not really worried about what I cut off there, but I need to get it to clear this big frame. I could cut a hole in it. How much work that would be? Yeah, quite a bit with the motor in there. If the motor wasn't in it, then that'd be a different story. I could just whack it out and put patch on it. But I think, you know, right now by leaving the other motor mount where it's at, I can take this bolt out and put it on top of that little bracket. That's going to give me at least a half an inch of raising this motor up. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do, is just put that bolt on top of that mount and see where that leaves me. Because it really don't make any difference at this point where anything's at. They've cut the firewall a little bit there, but it's not that big a deal to cut out a little bit of sheet metal. And I put the floorboard in, so I don't really see where it looks like they just got a bar welded across there. So I don't think there'll be any trouble at all with raising the motor. Eventually, of course, I'll have to figure out how the driveline goes. But won't do me any good at all if I can't get exhaust on it. So I'm going to try jacking it up on this one side, see if I can get that exhaust to clear. And the next thing that I would do is move the motor back an inch. I still can clear the distributor. I got about 3 inches there on that. So first we'll get it up. Another word to the wise: if you're fabricating something, get all your stuff together before you start welding things together. Maybe they had a different plan for the mufflers, but with full fenders and the hood, it's got to go down. And it looks like I might be clearing right here for the hood. You know, who knows? But it's not where it's going to go eventually anyway, so try to get jacked up. Well, I got it jacked up and on, and I got the header on. My exhaust is hitting right down here. And I'm up at the top of that mount. I raised it an inch at least. I can lower it some. It's probably going to move the motor, but there's the top of the motor mount. But I couldn't get the header on with it that high. So that means I've got to move this motor back at least a half an inch. I got to raise it up to where it's at there now. And that's a half-inch piece, I think, in there. Say 3/4 of an inch. So I got to raise it up 3/4. See, I wouldn't have had to be doing all this grinding in here. I did have to do the grinding on the block because it's just barely clearing the block now. I could probably cut that collector there and point it towards the back. It might be what I should do, but it's not gonna give me a lot of room. And I've got at least 3.5 to 4 inches here that I can move it back. So moving it back an inch wouldn't be a big deal. What's going to be stopping me now, well, I don't know if it'll stop me, but I'm determined. Just transmission mount. Let me get this stuff out of here. Well, the mount's welded in pretty good. And it's got it nice on the frame over there. It's got a flat plate, but the bolt is right at the edge of that tube. I can see much better there now where that header's hitting the frame. That's just too close. If I move it back an inch, I might have to cut a little bit out of that firewall. I don't really care about that too much. I'll have to do something about this transmission mount. Don't know exactly what, because that don't look like I got but about 1/4 of an inch there. Might be able to drill a different hole in it. But I need the back of that transmission mount right about where the back of the cross member is. Now when I jack up the other side of the motor, that's not going to help me up there. I could probably leave this alone and work on the exhausts, but I think what I need to do is take this all out and see if I can get that other header in. It's got the cab mounted real nice on donuts. I don't think it'd be too much trouble to remount this. Well, it'd be trouble, of course, but I'm not sure if I can modify that transmission mount. If I move it back an inch, that may mess up my drive line. Guess I ought to try to put the drive line in and see if I can move it back. It's already welded. Guess we'll give it a shot and see. Well, I got the drive line in and knocked forward all the way. I didn't clean it. I should have. I might have messed up that seal, but now I can get back here, see how much room I got. Well, with the drive line all the way up, this is half. So I've got this one in the back where it's supposed to go, so it would be half of this distance is all I could move it. I need to have about 1 inch in order to get the drive line in. I'm going to go ahead and knock this drive line back and measure the distance in the front. See how much I can get. Well, I got about maybe 3/4 of an inch to go there. That's probably enough to get the drive line in, and I moved it forward here about 1 inch. So if I move this back an inch, I'm going to be really pushing it to be able to get the drive line in without taking loose the rear end or something. I really don't want to put it together like that. Make it such a problem. Might be able to take these front springs loose. There's one bolt in them. Probably not very easy. And jack this rear end back. Anyway, that's be a lot of work whenever you could just drop it out. So I can move it maximum of 1 inch. And from looking at the thing up there, if I move it back a 1/2 inch, That'll be enough to clear well, and I can still cut that header and put it in at an angle. And I might be able to salvage this mount here with a 1/2 inch. And then again, I might be able to cut a little off of that back there and move the transmission mount back and take what I cut off of the back and put it on the front. So it looks like I can move the mount maybe a 1/2 inch with a little welding. And I might be able to get another 1/4 inch out of this by opening up that bolt hole. So I think moving it a 1/2 inch, I'll be able to get my drive line in still. I can save this bracket in this mount, and I'll still be able to get the drive line out. You know, I don't know what kind of headers they had. I think they probably didn't have any. And when they welded this all together, you know, they actually did a pretty good job of it. But they should have put the headers in before they welded it. Anyway, I'm gonna go over to the other side and see if I can get the other header on. Well, I got that one out, motor mount out, and I jacked it up a couple inches. I'm clearing real good here. It looks like I'm hitting my water plug almost, but I can get a short water plug, an Allen head that goes inside. Looks like it's clearing the motor pretty good. I'm going to drop this down on top of that mount there and see what hits. It looks like it's probably going to hit right here. Well, it's not bad. It motor mount set down on top. It's still centered. I got a good 1/4 inch there between the pipe and the thing. I got plenty of room in here. This motor mount here, that's all I'd have to do is raise it up. It looks like the best way to raise it would be just make a tube that the bolt fits right and put it in there, and then weld the tube to that square piece. So it'd be no trouble at all to make a motor mount for that, or fix that motor mount. And I could probably dent these pipes just a little bit and grind off a little of this upper A-arm, but it really don't look bad. I got the hood closed on the other side, and I'm a long ways away from the headers, and I'm sure it's going to be the same on this one. Let me put the camera down. Yeah, the hood's way above it. I don't have any trouble at all. Probably going to interfere with the fenders a little. think that's what I'll do, is set this fender back on here and see where I'm at. But this motor mount is going to be easy to fix, and I won't have to move it at all on this side, at least as far as this side is concerned. I laid this fender up here. It's pretty close to where it should go, and I'm looking back there. I've got 1/8 of an inch or so before it touches the header, and I'm off of the cowl here. The thing is just going to fall down if I move it. That's pretty close to side, and I still got a little bit of room in there, so I may not have to do much to this fender on this side anyway. I don't know what that bracket is on top of that fender. Looks like it might hold the hood down, or I'm not sure what that is. But this side's alright. This side over here, I'm again below the fender quite a bit. I mean the hood. So any interference here is gonna only come from the fender. So I guess I'll try to set that fender up here. And it looks like this motor mount is going to be the same thing. I just cut a piece of pipe and weld it on there. I might do a little more boxing or something, and I don't really like the way that looks in there. And my steering U-joint, I'm going to be able to get it out at this angle. You know, I'm going to be able to pull it up and clear those headers. I'm going to have to put 2 joints in it probably, but again, it might be that it hits the header. I might have to run it on the, can't do that, and the spark plugs are there, but this is workable. I have enough room to get it by, even if I have to put a lump in the fender where it goes. And let me get this hood up. I zoomed in a little. That's clearing the block, and I'm sure I can make that down pipe there come away and get around that. So that means I won't have to, if I spend a little work on that exhaust pipe there, I won't have to move the motor back, and I won't have to mess with this transmission mount. None of this stuff in here. So that's good. I'd much rather do some welding on a piece that I can get off and move around. So I think I can make this work. It just needs to be turned in towards the motor and turned towards the back a little. A couple pie cuts on that thing, and that'll work. Let me get the fender on it here and see how bad the headers are going to interfere. And I haven't even checked this side to side, whether that motor's centered in the frame. If I had to, I could move it that way just a little, but looks like the mounts are in the same place. But like I say, I'll check that later. Let's see what the fenders look like. Well, this guy's a little bit of a different story. I got it kind of held down together down there, and I've got it approximately here with a stick where it goes. See the old mark there, and I'm not hitting the exhaust. I think, you know, this fender's got to go in half an inch so it will hit, but that's just a minor piece of sheet metal work there. Even if I had to just cut a place out and make a new lip, that would be fine. And the fender's pretty close to where it goes. So there's both fenders on it, roughly. And headers are on. So I'm actually pretty pleased here. I did quite a bit of grinding and cutting and bending and stuff that I might not have had to do, but I did it. I got it in, and the pieces are going to go back on. So now the thing will be to finalize these motor mounts and fabricate them, and of course get the headers on good with the bolts and stuff. Get that motor solid where it's supposed to go. I won't have to mess with this anymore. It all looks pretty good. I'm gonna have to cut the floor out there a little to clear that drive line, I think. I'm all right here. I probably could just put that drive line in, but I want to take it out and polish that part right there where it rubs on that seal. And this will be just fine. It'll actually look pretty good even without a hood, you know. Especially if I put some kind of fancy intake on it. Those chrome headers will pop right out. But I'm building the whole thing for a hood. I'm not trying to make a fancy street rod. I'm just going to get it running and sell it. But I got an alternator for it and a starter. So the next thing tomorrow, I'll go ahead and see if I can get that starter in it for day. That was a pretty good lick for me. Can't breathe too good, so I started doing heavy work and crawling around on my back under putting in that drive line and all this stuff. This fender looks pretty good where I beat out yesterday. Oh, yeah, I'm getting tired. Time to quit. So anyway, that was it for today. Get Mr. Pickup headers in and know what I need to do to finish the motor mounts.